Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there. We're going to be looking at a tournament today. It is the 4 versus 4 balanced beta tourney, and that is why I have a screen up in the background for some balance changes. Basically, this tournament is taking place to get some good information on what is happening with the balance. Obviously, you can change numbers all you want, but once you actually get into a game, sometimes the behavior of units on a live playing field belies what the number changes have actually done. So let's run through these real quick. I'll give you a summary in the 5 minutes before the first game starts. Then we're going to jump in and watch some people like Blast Chilled and Zlo in team games for once. We'll get a couple of good casts out of this one, I am sure. So you can see all the numbers in the background here. The summary of the ACU changes is that the combat HP upgrades have been nerfed. So on Aeon, we've got a slight mass increase on the personal shield generator, and then we've got on the heavy personal shield generator a doubling roughly of the mass cost with an energy cost increase as well, with build time, yada yada yada. Shield max health nerfed and regen rate nerfed as well, and that's a common theme with UEF. Nano repair system gives 500 less HP, and then the personal shield generator goes for a little bit of a nerf on cost and on HP and regen as well. So in general, this is going to make the commanders a little bit less survivable on the T3 field. Rolling into the Seraphim ACU, we see the same nerfs to the nano repair and enhanced nano repair systems, and then also, this is the only change in this entire thing that I really agree with. The refracting chronotron amplifier, which is the second gun upgrade on the Seraphim commander that gives that massive damage output boost. It's getting nerfed a little bit, so 70 less damage per shot, which I think translates to 140 less damage overall over the course of the second. And then build cost goes up a little bit in mass, and the build time gets an increase as well. So Seraphim does need this gun upgrade to compete with some of the other factions, but it does get that slight little nerf that's not going to let it just rampage through everything regardless of what you put in front of it and make it extremely overpowered. The rest of this, I'm not entirely sure about because of some other changes that are layered in. Overall, this is going to make the ACUs a lot less survivable. Then if we move down into, let me actually spread this son of a gun back out because I have decreased my field of view to a certain extent thanks to the tournaments. Let me open that up so you can see a little bit more of what I'm seeing. As we move down into the Harbinger, HP nerf, build time is decreased, so you're going to be able to build these more quickly. This is kind of holds true for all of the T3 tanks. And then shield health decrease, but look at this regen rate change. Over 3 times the regen rate, and then 23 seconds off the recharge time when the shield is fully depleted. In addition to that, if you look down at speed got nerfed a little bit, but the acceleration and turn rate got buffed. So what that means is that this is going to be a lot more maneuverable inside a base, and it's going to be a little bit more forgiving because this extra regen and recharge rate, it kind of shares this change with the Titan. You're going to be able to bounce back from interactions with units much more quickly. The overall HP and shield health decrease, though, makes this die just as quickly to opposing T3 units. So looking at the Harbinger versus other mainline tanks, the interaction isn't going to change a whole lot, but versus lower tiered units, I think it's going to fare a little bit better. Moving on down, there's some more detailed changes there that you can see the numbers of. Pause it if you wish to look at those. Autumn, one of the big changes with this is that the first 2 guns and the third gun got equalized on range, if I'm not totally mistaken. So the third gun got a range nerf, and then the tank overall got way more acceleration, same speed, top end, HP nerf, build time nerf, so it doesn't take as long to build these things, and then the damage goes up on the main cannon and down on the first 2 cannons. Also, prioritization has been changed. So this is kind of a weird set of changes that I don't really feel comfortable predicting what's going to happen in a game. We'll just have to see how they interact. Percival's nerfed overall. Speed is up slightly. We've got damage increase slightly higher, but it fires fewer times. So 334 from 400 DPS, and then the HP gets a 2000 nerf right there. Of course, build time down in line with the other units. Then the Titan is the only unit. Hallelujah, it got a buff. It actually got a buff. So the HP goes up 400, shield goes down to 600 HP, which looks like an overall nerf, but look at this recharge time. 4 times less recharge. So instead of a shield bubble every 60 seconds, you get one every 15 seconds, and then a doubling of the shield regen rate. Plus you get a little bit more maneuverable with that acceleration increase, although your overall speed does go down. And then it does not get a damage nerf. Something to mention about this means that inside bases, same thing for the Harbinger. When you're maneuvering around obstacles and having problems with pathfinding, the Harbinger and the Titan are going to be much more maneuverable than they were. However, straight line run speed, lower. So you're going to not get around the map quite as quickly as you did before. Brick down to 7,500 HP, damage down to 312, which is still slightly lower than the Percival, although not as much as before. And then it does have a faster walk speed, 1 less range than the Percival, I think. Let me go back up here to the Percival and take a look. See, one more up. That is going to be 34 range versus 32 range, but the Brick gets 0.2 more speed, so it will be able to run things down. That's a bit of a change there. Nerfed overall for the Loyalist. We've got HP reductions, speed reductions, the same acceleration buff that the Titan got. We do have the EMP reduced, and it no longer stuns T4s and ACUs. This is going to drastically increase the effectiveness of the Galactic Colossus because the Loyalist was basically the main weakness of that unit. So overall, we're seeing T3s nerfed in comparison to T4s. So experimentals might hold a little bit of a better place on the map moving forward. Overall damage nerf as well on both of the guns. So, nope, I'm sorry, 35 on that and 150 on that. So that is a net 20 loss in DPS. Snipers, the main thing to be concerned about here is that they did get the cost increase just a little bit, but they do get a slight HP buff with that, not as much as it was initially put forward, and I'm thankful for that because you don't want these things to be too tanky. They are getting a buff though to moving firing randomness. So before there was a huge nerf to firing randomness when the unit was moving. If your snipers are moving, they're going to miss a lot. But now that is much closer to what it is at stationary. It's still going to miss more than it is when it's stationary, but it's not to a degree where moving your snipers is a death sentence. And then T3 mobile artillery, build time decrease, no other changes. The other big change in this balance proposal is to the experimentals. It's mainly build time increases. So Megalith gets tripled, Monkey Lord gets not quite doubled, and then everything else is somewhere in between. The long and the short of it is these units are going to interact in mostly the same way. The Fat Boy does get a slight buff to its shield, 40 seconds off the regen time, and then the regen rate up about 50%, something like that, 40%. But basically, this is just build time increases. You're going to need more engineers to build your T4s at the same rate as you did before, which is supposed to slow this down, but my personal opinion is that people will just make some more T1 engineers, and it's not even going to matter. Then we've got the GC getting a bug fix where the claws should suck up units more effectively, and that's going to greatly increase the effectiveness of the Galactic Colossus moving forward. Mobile anti-air, slight changes. I'm not going to go over the numbers for these. Cost changes to the T2 transports. And then T3 land has also received a nerf as far as the cost of the HQ goes. Looks like we've also got, I did not notice this before, we have got a little bit of a nerf to the UEF T3 point defense as well. So it is going to take a bit more resources to build, a little bit more resources for the T3 land HQs. Fabricator improved slightly too much, so the adjacency goes down on a couple of different targets slightly. Then we've got T3 static rebalance, on the artillery. UEF and Cybern range goes to 775, so that is going to be a huge deal for Cybern. And then Aeon and Seraphim normalized to 825, which is going to be a pretty significant nerf on the Aeon endgame. This is going to put these factions much closer together. It's still going to give a little bit of diversity, but you're not going to be stuck in these situations where one team can shell the other while the other team can't. At least it'll take place in a lot fewer situations. Damage down, that is going to be for which arty? I'm not sure. Maybe all of them. Who knows? I'm going to leave that one alone. The last big change is to overcharge. And I'm not sure whether this is going to be in this tournament or not. I think it is, but it might be a secondary modification. So this is possibly upcoming, and they're going to try testing it out at some point. The summary of this is when you overcharge, it burns twice as much power as you do in damage, and it doesn't overkill. So if you shoot a T1 tank that has 350 HP, it's going to burn somewhere in the vicinity of 700 power to deal that damage. I think it may go in increments of 1,000 though. So let's say it uses 1,000 power to overcharge a single T1 unit. When you bump up to T3 units, if you have a Percival that has 7,000 health, that means you have 14,000 for your power requirement to one-shot overcharge. You can still overcharge, it just won't deal the full damage if you don't have enough energy in storage. That means you're going to need a lot more power overflow, and it's a heavy nerf to your ACUs late game, which is something that I don't entirely agree with because it does make your ACUs a bit more flimsy on the front line. Then veterancy, reduced vet gains from buildings, and a single vet level is all you can gain from any one kill with the ACUs. I'm not sure if that applies to other units, but that's a kind of nifty little change because you can gain vet multiple times instead of vetting all in one go. With that out of the way, that is the very quick and dirty summary of what is going on in the minds of the FAF Balance peoples, who are kind of working behind the scenes to try to make the game as good as it can possibly be, even though we may not agree with what they're doing some of the time. With that out of the way, we are going to jump into this tournament, and I'm going to be watching. All right, the other game of the tournament at the first round. This one is not quite as well balanced, but at least it will not crash the live replay and go to -6 multiple times during the course of the game. On the north-hand side, we've got Farms, we have got Dro going UEF and Cybern respectively, Fmatanamak DXO, otherwise known as FTX Commando with jumbled up letters, and we've got, oh my goodness, Upexars? Who is that? I don't know who that is. Somebody on Twitch chat, inform me. Both of them are going UEF. So we got 3 UEFs and 1 Cybern on the north. And then on the south side, we've got Freedom, UEF, Hybrid, Cybern. See how much easier this is? Nito F as Seraphim. And then rounding it out, last but certainly not least, GFY Depony as Seraphim. North hand side? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that little turn of phrase? We've got First Land, Rush the Hydro across the board on the north side, except for Upexars, who has decided to be a completely ridiculous person and skip the Hydro entirely and go for random T1 power generators in adjacency builds, coupled with the Mass Extractor scattered in between for 5 T1 land factories without even getting his Hydro power like a freaking madman. He is going to be going for so much spam. It is ridiculous. Someone has just challenged me to read Farm's name. His name is Futajarizme. Something like that. It's Farms. We all know it's Farms. It's okay. It is Farms. I should probably also scroll out the minimap so you guys can see what is going on. On the south side, we've got Hydro rushed after Land Factory for literally every single person, and then we've got Second Air going down for Nito, and Second Land for pretty much everybody else. Pony has gone for, nope, a very weird build, because he built 4 power generators, and instead of building them vertically, he built them horizontally, so he builds his air factory adjacent to the power generators and not to the hydro, and he's a weird individual for doing so, but maybe he'll go for a second air factory later on, and all will be remedied. Upegs is going to be... Then Brink was eaten by an ancient horror. Upegs is working on his second land factory, so he did actually delay his build by quite some time. I'm not sure why he ended up needing all of that early reclaim and doing all of that weird stuff, because now he's overflowing on mass. He can't spend all of his power. He's not going for a T2 mass extractor upgrade. He had a very interesting build that could have done him a lot of good, but he's kind of thrown it in the dumpster and thrown a match on it as well with that execution. So maybe he can do that build at a different time and make it work a little bit better. It's probably an early T2 Mex rush coupled with expanded land production later on, if I had to guess. But I think he just forgot to execute part of his plan. And now it's just going to be an average build instead of an epic build. Okay. Looking at the other side, we've got a fair bit of land spam out from most of these peoples. We've got second or third or fourth air factory from every single person, with a second air factory down for Freedom on the back end. We've got a total of 6 land factories planned for hybrid, 3, 4 for, Nito. And then Pony has already got 3 built and is going for 2 more, grand total of 5. Of course, the sooner you can get your land factories online, the quicker you can get your spam to the front line. And on the north side, we've got farms already going for the north side plateau with a group of engineers. Bomber headed that direcciones from Freedom, but I think that the land factory is going to get online before the Bomber can get into that area, and therefore that will be a failed plan for Denial. Looks like there is not a transport planned over there, possibly a transport planned for Pony. Nope, that is not the case. Let me click in here and see exactly what he's got queued. 3 interceptors on a non-repeating order. There's the transport. It's already out on the front line, and I totally missed the son of a diddly, and Pony is stalling for power like a madman as he tries to get way too many factories online for his power capabilities. Although he is, oh, that's actually decent balance. If he could only get a little bit more mass. He will have to build power sometime in the very near future, though. Once he mass stalls, he is halfway decent. Similar to halfway there, but not to be confused as such. So we got a transport full of units. We do have a drop up on the plateau that's gotten engineers over that away. So Pony got the south plateau, Farms got the north plateau, and everything is equal as games go. Farms has already got a T2 mass extractor online with another halfway upgraded, although it is paused due to his need for mass in other locations. Probably paused so that he could get things built over on this edge before the Bomber decimated his troopers that were on that plateau. I like the fact that he's dropped a few tanks up this way, because that's going to deny any opposing drop from the enemy side. Well done there. Well done indeed. Over on the left, we've got another drop with a pile of engineers, probably going for the plateau, but I don't know how successful that's going to be due to the already established units on that edge. We got a tank engaging versus quite a few of its peers. Not going to be successful there, I fear. And then, of course, from this factory, all we need is 1 single artillery piece, and will completely counter anything that Red is trying to do on that ledge. Up on the front line, Hybrid has engaged with a couple of tanks with his ACU, although I think that is more happenstance than planning. And over on the right, we've got Pony engaging with Upexars. I am going to hate all of these names by the end of this. Looks like we've got 2 land factories already built, with the T1 point defense being brought online. Mech Marine out early to deal with any threat of artillery and engineers building shenaniganery things on that ledge. Over on the front side, looks like we've got a few interceptors from Dro, who is building quite a substantial amount of air. The north side team looks like it collectively has between 10 and 15 interceptors on the south side. We have a few less than that. Looks like maybe a total of 10 or so. So it's not really able to be decided in either team's favor by numbers. It's a fairly close thing, but I think it would tend to go slightly towards the north. Over on this ledge, Farms has now started a second land factory. We've got heavy assistance on the land factories already in place for Freedom, as he struggles to get enough units out to go ahead and take control of this plateau. I think that he will do it, and he will do it quite well. We've got Reclaim on the Plasma Cannon. Farms probably stalling for mass, not able to supply everything that he's trying to do. 26 mass stall, trying to get the factory online, and now we have got Freedom with a great unit advantage over Farms. So Farms is going to have to do something drastic to maintain control of that plateau. Looking out across the map as we go, lots of units online for Nito, who is making great progress versus FTX, but FTX is 75% or so on an upgrade to the gun arm, and he's already got a point defense in place to guard his ACU, so this is going to flippity-floppity and go in favor of the North team on this particular choke, because that gun comm will be able to eat through every single one of those tanks in short order and eliminate the threat. Looks like Freedom is going to take control of the plateau just in time before that point defense came online. Engineers desperately trying to reclaim as the units surround them and pound them to death. We've got a drop going down in the back end. Pony doing exceptionally well there. I definitely would have gone completely to the rear, but there's the artillery drop. Transport needs to get the hell out of Dodge. And the Artie is kind of in range of the T2 tanks that are now going to pick everything off. Pillars, of course, rolling out of that T2 HQ as they are for FTX Commando. Very little damage done by those artillery. I tend to think that if they had been dropped to the rear, could have at least picked off the Hydro and 421 mass extractors before units could have responded. Would have gone much better for the south side in the end, but alas, it was not meant to be. Got a little bit of a surround over on this side. FTX has got that gun upgrade on his ACU going versus an unupgraded ACU with a unit advantage. We've got units diverted from left, right, and center to go after that commander. Could put him in a little bit of a dicey situation, but we do have another commander moving in to back him up. Farms is on the front line, going up against a massive pair of Janus strikes. Look at all of the dead wrecks in there as those devastate Farms frontline units. That is an excellent, excellent choice of tech for Freedom. Of course, if those Januses die after the first pass, as long as they kill 6 or 7 T1 units, they have been worth it. Freedom at full HP, Farms at 2/3. Farms still does, though, have the spam advantage. Freedom has only got a handful of factories online. 1, 2, 3, 4 land factories versus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 planned factories with a massive T1 power spam. The Januses are not going to be able to save him. Freedom is going to get wiped out by the spam on the north side. Farms ending this game quickly and decisively in his favor, barring some madman's rescue that comes to save this commander. Freedom at this point might as well just go for the mutual KO if he is able, but I don't think he's going to have enough HP to get to that point, especially walking in a straight line and taking Lobo fire to the face. 200 HP versus 28 at death. Does about 5,000 HP remaining. Freedom pulling in with T2 gunships, trying to get in a little bit more damage on that commander, dropping him down below 2,500 HP. But the gunships go poof, and that is the end of that. It is now 4 versus 3, and the south side lost their highest rated player. An unfortunate thing indeed. If only Hybrid had seen that a little bit sooner, he could have sent units over to the left-hand side to guard against that eventuality. But that's what happens when you get outspammed, folks. We've got 2 T2 mass extractors online, a third coming up as Farms has realized that he's going to have an inordinate amount of reclaim right here in the center. Plenty to get a handful of mass extractors up to T2. Hybrid defending the center with his commander, combined with a handful of units, and hoplites are on the field. Dro going for the micro-intensive Cybern bots that do have a very high damage output and perform extremely well versus T1 and T2 crowds. But you gotta pay attention to where they're at, because they have low HP. If they wander too far towards the front, they will die, and they will die painfully. Hybrid just kind of chilling out there on the front line. He is versus a Guncom as well, so I have my doubts as to how safe his position actually is. This is going to leave farms free to take advantage of the North Plateau, get all that reclaim, get 5 more mass extractors online, take a few upgrades, build some more land factories, and then do whatever the hell it is that he wants to do. He's already got his transport up in the back end, gonna pick up some engineers and fly out that away. Pony has started nano repair and then canceled immediately, I am sure due to the fact that he sees all of these units coming in with his newly completed radar, although he did have radar in the back, so he should have seen what was going on. Maybe it was power stall, maybe it was the movement, I don't know. Something definitely deterred him though. He does have the gun upgrade already, so he should be able to deal with those T2 to great effect. Nito snagging the gun upgrade as well, but I don't know that he'll get done before FTX Commando closes in on his ACU. We've also got units backing up from 2 sides. FTX is going to crush this forward force, and Nito's going to be put in a very bad position indeed, losing out to the spam on that side. So the common theme that I see here is that we have more T2 mass extractors on the south side and fewer factories. I'm just going to say don't tell me anymore, and we'll watch how this goes, because surely it can't desync far enough to be a significant problem in the time that is left on this game. We've got more T2 mass extractors, more T2 factories, more tech in general on the south side, and on the north, we just got straight spam. There are a couple of T2 factories, but they're singular factories and heavily assisted to get the units out as quickly as possible. There's many more factories in total on the north side than on the south. And then there are gun comms as a universal rule across the entire front end of this map, except for farms. Farms is the odd one out. So I guess it isn't a universal rule by any degree. Brink has a misspeak there once again. Farms now crashing down upon the rear of the base. That is going to be all she wrote, I think, for this game. Of course, it doesn't matter how much you rebalance the T3 phase. If you get T1 rushed, it's still gonna end the game. Not much you can do to change that. Jaguar's game is apparently finally over, so we can move on and go after another game. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.